Yeah.
The great silent majority.
I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black.
Injustice, corruption, hidden power. This is Silent Majority with Foreign.
Silent majority.
The silent majority is back, and we're going to take the country back.
Welcome to the Silent Majority. I'm your host, Something Foreign, and today we're going to talk about all the injustices, corruptions, and the hidden powers in today's system. Now, we're going to compare and contrast two cases, and at the end, I want y'all to come up with your own assumptions and belief as to what's going on. Now, we're going to talk about the Marcel Daughtry case and the Dallas, Texas shooting with the police officer. Now, Marcel Daughtry was a 16-year-old boy who lives in Coney Island. He set his mattress on fire and put it out. When he left his apartment and returned, the mattress reignited, and he responded by announcing this to all of his neighbors. After everyone left the building, police responded to the scene. When police responded, they took the elevator to see what's going on with this fire. Now, as police officers and as normal citizens, we are trained not to take the elevator under a fire situation, but they still decided to take the elevator. One officer passed and the other officer was severely injured. Now we're going to play a clip as to how the police handled this situation in the beginning. So we're going to go ahead and cue this clip.
But don't be fooled by the young face. His actions were serious. His actions were adult actions. And his actions were life and death. And in this case, it caused death. He said he did this because he was bored. Well, he'll have to get used to his boredom in that prison cell. He can learn how to knit and possibly create other things to do with stones on the floor. But the reality is, he is still alive, and Officer Guerra is not. This family lives with that loss every day. Their strength inspires all New Yorkers that they can come into this courtroom and calmly sit on those pews with the person that took their loved one.
Now, as you can see how the police already had him guilty in their minds. They didn't even give him a fighting chance. Now, I want to talk about the Dallas, Texas shooting with the police officer. She entered a home that she believed was hers and shot and killed the person who lived there. Now, this is the story she gave the police. Now, it doesn't make any logical sense because you're entering an apartment that is not yours. You don't notice that the door isn't yours. You don't notice that the furniture is different. You don't notice that there's a total stranger living in this place. And she actually shot and killed him. Now, we're going to play a clip with a law enforcement analyst talking about the charge itself. Now, I want y'all to pay close attention and remember the Marcel Daughtry case in your head as you listen to this police law enforcement analyst defend this police officer. Play the clip.
Joining me right now is CNN law enforcement analyst James Galliano. So, James, at first, Dallas police thought this was an officer-involved shooting, but then they realized this is something very different. So, what we know is that this one officer mistaked the apartment for her own and then shot the man who actually lived in that apartment. I mean, how did they investigate this? Like, how did they get about what went wrong here?
So, Fred, just a horrific tragedy all around. I mean, you've got one innocent, bright young life snuffed out, and this officer, her life will be irrevocably changed as well. Now, there's a distinction between bringing murder charges against somebody, meaning that there was prior intent or malice of forethought or some type of premeditation to take a life, and manslaughter, which is really the unlawful killing of another person without any prior intention to bring them harm.
As you can see how the law enforcement analyst described all the properties that it takes to meet a manslaughter case and a murder case. Someone will have to have intent and malice in committing their murder for it to be charged as a murder. Now, as you can see, Marcel Daughtry had no intent and malice where he informed his neighbors that there was a fire. He meant for no one to be harmed. As well, he had no intentions for the police to respond to this fire, nor did he have any intent or malice for them to take the elevator and be severely injured by the smoke that was entered the elevator when it got stuck. Now, as far as the police officer, for her to use the excuse that she does not know whose apartment this is, you are a grown adult who has a job as a police officer who is charged to protect and serve us. How can I trust you to protect and serve me when you don't even know where your house is? Not only that, for her to even enter the apartment, he would have had to open the door since her key would clearly not have worked. Now, burglars don't open the door. And as police, they are trained when to pull their gun in a situation. So the fact that she tried to enter the door, it didn't open, him opening the door, him asking her, what's going on? Why are you trying to enter my home? And her shooting him, it makes no logical sense for this law enforcement analyst to describe these properties in this case. Now, as far as the Marcel Daughtry case, they meet them clearly. Now, this is what Silent Majority is about. We're always going to talk on what's going on, the injustices, the corruptions, and the hidden powers. As you can clearly see, there was definitely some injustice in these two cases. Now, that's it for this week. Stay tuned. We're always going to be here. See you next week.